they also made copies, and this is the New Hampshire one, correct?
Correct.
That's the way the internet works back then. I mean, it was a little bit slower. So, I mean, like 10 days later, people in New Hampshire are finding out about this.
Right.
A week or two later, it's probably in the Carolinas.
Rick Harrison, known for his role as the patriarch of Pawn Stars, has remained largely private about his family's personal struggles. However, in a rare moment of candor, Rick recently broke his silence regarding his son's devastating life sentence at the age of 59. The emotional revelation shed light on the deep personal turmoil Rick has faced behind the scenes. Known for his tough, business-savvy exterior, Rick's vulnerability in speaking about his son's predicament revealed the weight of family tragedy that had remained largely out of the public eye. This unexpected moment of openness gave fans a glimpse into the often unseen personal battles that Rick has had to confront in his family's tumultuous journey. The power of storytelling in pawn deals. At the core of Pawn Stars' success was the deep connection between the items brought into the shop and the stories behind them. Rick Harrison, more than anyone, understood that people didn't just buy objects, they bought the narrative attached to them. Whether it was an antique weapon owned by a historical figure, a piece of artwork from a famous artist, or a rare coin, it was the story that made the item valuable, not just its market price. This storytelling element set Pawn Stars apart from other reality shows, as it allowed viewers to experience the historical significance of the objects alongside the drama of bargaining and negotiation. Rick's sharp eye for valuable items came from years of experience. Growing up in Las Vegas, he developed an interest in history and collectibles early on. After spending time learning about gold, silver, and the intricacies of pawn dealing, Rick took over the family business, eventually expanding it into a thriving operation. But it wasn't just the business knowledge that helped him build the empire. It was his ability to make each item that passed through his doors feel like a piece of history. Family drama behind the scenes. Despite the massive success of Pawn Stars and the family's newfound fame, the world behind the pawn shop was far from perfect. In fact, the Harrison family, much like any other family thrust into the spotlight, faced their own share of challenges, many of them unfolding behind closed doors. The Harrison family's bond was tested as the show's popularity soared, and financial disputes, family secrets, and even betrayal emerged as the pressures of fame and business began to unravel the delicate balance they had once maintained. Richard "Old Man" Harrison, who co-founded the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop with his son, had always been the steady hand of the business. His no-nonsense approach to life and his sharp business acumen made him the backbone of the operation. A decorated Navy veteran, Richard was well known for his straightforward, tough-love demeanor, which resonated with fans and made him a fan favorite. However, when Richard passed away in 2018, it marked a pivotal moment for the family. His death not only signified the loss of a beloved figure, but also set off a chain of events that would shake the foundation of the business. Rick Harrison's struggles and legal battles. As the face of Pawn Stars and the primary figurehead of the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, Rick Harrison had long been regarded as a business-savvy entrepreneur. But as the show's success continued to grow, so did the scrutiny surrounding his personal and professional life. Behind the polished image on television, Rick was grappling with personal demons and legal disputes that threatened to tarnish his reputation. In 2020, a lawsuit filed by his mother, Joanne Harrison, exposed a bitter family conflict that had been brewing for years. The suit alleged that Rick had coerced his mother into signing over her 51% stake in the pawn shop following a health scare. Joanne, who had been married to Richard for over 50 years, claimed that she was manipulated into signing the agreement while she was recovering from a coma. When she realized what had happened, she fought back, seeking to reclaim what she believed was rightfully hers. The legal battle not only threatened Rick's financial standing, but also placed a dark cloud over the future of the family business. Joanne's lawsuit accused Rick of withholding crucial financial documents related to the shop's assets, including a stash of gold and silver worth over $500,000 that had been collected by Richard before his death. According to Joanne, she had been unable to access the necessary paperwork to claim her late husband's share of the business, and as a result, she filed the suit in an attempt to recover what she felt was owed to her. The allegations were serious and raised questions about the transparency and ethics of the Harrison family's business practices. In response, Rick denied any wrongdoing, insisting that his mother's actions were being manipulated by outside forces. He claimed that Joanne's financial issues were the result of poor advice from others, and he was quick to point out that he had always acted in good faith. Despite his denials, the lawsuit had a significant impact on Rick's public image, causing many to question the integrity of the family business. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The global COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 not only caused widespread health and economic issues, but also struck a devastating blow to the Harrison family's pawn shop empire. Prior to the pandemic, the gold and silver pawn shop was pulling in more than $1 million annually. However, with the shutdowns and social distancing measures that accompanied the pandemic, the shop's revenue plummeted, with reports indicating that it brought in a mere $37,000 during the early months of COVID. This massive drop in business left the family scrambling to adapt to the new economic landscape. For Rick Harrison, the financial strain caused by the pandemic only compounded the legal and personal struggles he was already facing. As business slowed, tensions within the family escalated. Joanne's lawsuit, combined with the financial hardship caused by the pandemic, created an incredibly stressful environment for the family. Rick found himself at the center of not just one, but multiple crises, each threatening to undo the legacy that his father had built over decades. Chumleys' troubles. The saga of Pawn Stars wasn't limited to just the Harrison family. Austin Chumley Russell, one of the show's most beloved characters, also found himself embroiled in scandal. Known for his goofy personality and lovable antics on screen, Chumley's off-screen life told a much darker story. In 2012, he was involved in a physical altercation in Hollywood, which was caught on camera and made headlines. While Chumley claimed that he acted in self-defense after being threatened, the incident raised eyebrows and led to negative press. But things only got worse for Chumley. In 2016, he was arrested after police raided his home as part of a sexual assault investigation. During the raid, authorities discovered a significant amount of illegal substances, including methamphetamine and marijuana, as well as several unregistered firearms. Chumley's legal troubles were compounded by his charges for felony drug possession and illegal firearm ownership. Though the sexual assault charges were later dropped, the damage to his reputation had already been done. The legal fallout from Chumley's arrest was extensive, and he eventually pleaded guilty to felony weapons charges and a misdemeanor charge of attempted drug trafficking. While he avoided significant prison time, the scandal surrounding him hurt the Pawn Stars brand and cast a shadow over the show's otherwise wholesome image. Corey Harrison's downward spiral. Corey Big Hoss Harrison, Rick's son and heir apparent to the pawnshop empire, was not immune to his own scandals. As the show's comedic foil and the one who often found himself in the middle of family squabbles, Corey's personal life became a subject of public interest. Known for his sometimes brash behavior, Corey's reputation took a hit after a series of public incidents. One of the most memorable was an altercation at a bar in Jefferson City, where Corey was reportedly kicked out after throwing a bar stool and shocking patrons with his disruptive behavior. The incident garnered negative press and further fueled the perception that the Harrison family was prone to drama. Corys' legal troubles didn't end there. In 2021, he made headlines again after a dispute over a rented RV. Corey had rented an RV for a short trip to the California desert, but when it was due to be returned, the owner claimed that Corey had failed to return it on time and in one piece. This led to further controversy and bad press for the Harrison family. A family empire on the brink. The gold and silver pawn shop's rise to fame was nothing short of extraordinary. But the Harrison family's fall from grace was equally dramatic. From behind-the-scenes lawsuits to criminal charges and public scandals, the Harrison family found themselves in the midst of a storm that threatened to undo everything they had worked for. With each passing year, the family's empire seemed to be teetering on the edge, as personal drama, legal issues, and financial struggles piled on. While Pawn Stars remains a beloved show with a loyal fan base, the legacy of the Harrison family and the gold and silver pawn shop is forever marked by the turmoil that surrounded it. The story of their rise and potential fall serves as a reminder that fame and fortune often come at a price, one that can sometimes be too high to pay. The RV incident, Harrison's shady affair. In the early years of Pawn Stars, the show's cast seemed like a tight-knit family, with Rick Harrison at the helm, guiding his son Corey and the quirky but lovable Chumley. However, the cracks began to show when a series of controversies unfolded, one of the first being the incident involving an RV rented by Corey Harrison. According to Viana, a concerned party involved in the situation, Harrison's assistant called the following day to inform him of an accident involving the RV, which was supposed to be returned in pristine condition. The call came with news that the vehicle would be towed back, but the RV's actual arrival didn't occur until 2 days later, and when it did, it was in an almost unrecognizable state. Viana reported that the awning had been torn off completely, and the interior was described as filled with trash, a sight far from the clean, professional image expected of the show's stars. The extent of the damage was severe enough to raise concerns. TMZ reported that repairs to the vehicle could cost up to $30,000, a hefty price tag that added fuel to the fire. Viana went on to reveal that he had to cancel a total of 10 reservations, all of which were booked under the assumption that the RV would be in good condition for use. As expected, this put a significant strain on the business, and tensions escalated as Harrison refused to cover the damages. Corey's struggles, legal, personal, and physical battles. Though Corey Harrison's legal troubles might have appeared trivial in the face of the ongoing RV drama, they were part of a much larger personal struggle. As the Pawn Stars star became entangled in various scandals, his personal life began to unravel. At the height of his fame, Corey struggled with his weight, a challenge that spiraled into dangerous territory. His physical health deteriorated to the point where he was advised to undergo gastric bypass surgery in 2010, a decision that would prove to be both a turning point in his life and a public spectacle. The surgery allowed Corey to shed over 100 pounds, a drastic transformation that would have long-term implications on his life. While his physical health improved, the pressures of fame, running a high-profile pawn shop, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle took their toll on his personal relationships. Despite the physical transformation, Corey's relationship with the Pawn Stars audience was anything but smooth. His struggles with self-image, constant media scrutiny, and the burden of maintaining a public persona took a toll on his mental health. In addition to this, his co-stars, especially Chumley, also found themselves dealing with similar weight issues. Chumley's weight loss, inspired by Corey's success, provided a momentary bright spot in the midst of mounting public drama. However, the ongoing scandals and the shifting dynamics on the show painted a far more complex picture. The experts, legal trouble, and controversial claims. While Pawn Stars may have initially earned its fame through the unique cast and quirky personalities, much of its appeal rested on the expertise brought in by specialists who evaluated and appraised the various antiques and artifacts brought into the pawn shop. These experts became fan favorites, lending an air of credibility to the items being bought and sold on the show. However, this credibility was soon called into question due to a series of scandals involving some of the experts themselves. One of the first to face legal trouble was Johnny Jimenez Jr., a well-known expert in the field of vintage toys. In 2015, Jimenez was caught on camera allegedly assaulting his girlfriend outside a Las Vegas restaurant. The incident was covered extensively by TMZ, and despite Jimenez's attempts to downplay the altercation by claiming he was only trying to help his intoxicated girlfriend, the damage to his reputation was irreparable. Fans began to question the authenticity of the experts featured on the show, and Jimenez's actions became a dark cloud hanging over the once thriving series. In addition to Jimenez, another expert whose credibility was called into question was John Resnikov, an expert in autograph authentication. In 2011, Resnikov made a highly publicized mistake when he mistakenly attributed an autograph from The Godfather script to actor Al Pacino instead of the actual signatory, producer Al Ruddy. Though this mistake was relatively minor, it raised doubts about the accuracy of the show's appraisals. Fans began wondering whether other appraisals were equally flawed, questioning whether the experts truly possessed the level of knowledge they claimed to have. From authenticity to scripted drama, the shift in Pawn Stars. As the scandals continued to unfold, Pawn Stars began to experience a noticeable shift in its format and content. Initially, the show had built its success on a combination of historical education and unpredictable interactions. Viewers enjoyed learning about the historical significance of rare and unusual items, while the behind-the-scenes drama between Rick, Corey, and Chumleys added a layer of humor and human connection. However, as time passed, the show began to feel more scripted. The once spontaneous and organic nature of the appraisals and interactions became more staged. Rumors began to swirl that the items brought into the shop were pre-screened, and sellers were chosen ahead of time to ensure the show's entertainment value. The raw, authentic quality of Pawn Stars was slowly replaced with dramatized moments and rehearsed arguments, which made the show feel less like a genuine look into the world of pawn shops and more like any other reality TV series. The shift was particularly evident in the increasing focus on family drama. Rick Harrison, once the level-headed patriarch of the business, became more of a caricature of the strict businessman, while Corey struggled with his position in the family business, often depicted as the distracted but well-meaning son. Chumleys, whose legal troubles only added to his on-screen persona, was increasingly relegated to the role of comic relief. The interpersonal conflicts among the stars, once a natural and relatable aspect of the show, now felt forced and exaggerated, much to the disappointment of longtime fans. Pawn Plaza, Rick's failed business venture. Rick Harrison's entrepreneurial spirit led him to branch out beyond the pawn shop itself. In an attempt to capitalize on the popularity of Pawn Stars, Rick opened Pawn Plaza, a shopping center near the gold and silver pawn shop, hoping to turn the area into a tourist destination. However, Pawn Plaza failed to meet expectations. The businesses that opened in the plaza quickly closed due to a lack of foot traffic, and the owners of those businesses pointed fingers at Rick for not doing enough to market the area. Despite the fame Pawn Stars had garnered, it seemed that Rick's business acumen wasn't enough to turn the plaza into a success. The failure of Pawn Plaza resulted in several lawsuits, tarnishing Rick's reputation further. Olivia Black and the firing scandal. As the show's popularity waned, yet another scandal surfaced, this time involving Olivia Black, a former employee who had become a fan favorite due to her edgy personality and distinctive style. Black, who had worked for Pawn Stars since 2012, was suddenly and inexplicably fired. Fans quickly began speculating as to the reason for her departure, and it was later revealed that Black had been let go due to nude modeling photos she had taken before joining the show, which had been posted online. Her firing sparked outrage among the show's fans, many of whom felt that the decision was unfair and rooted in sexism. Black, who had developed a strong following, continued to work in the pawn industry and pursue her career as a model and adult entertainer. She also filed a lawsuit claiming that her firing was unlawful, though the case was ultimately dropped. The stolen coin collection and more legal woes. As if the mounting controversies weren't enough, Pawn Stars found itself embroiled in yet another legal battle. In 2014, the shop was accused of purchasing and melting down a stolen antique coin collection. Walter, the uncle of the person who claimed the coins were stolen, alleged that his niece had sold his valuable collection to the pawn shop for a fraction of its actual worth. The coins were reportedly worth $50,000, but the shop had paid only $2,300. The situation escalated when it was suggested that the coins had been melted down, potentially rendering them unrecoverable. While the store denied any wrongdoing, the incident added yet another layer of controversy to the already troubled Pawn Stars franchise. The end of an era, Pawn Stars' decline and legacy. Despite the numerous scandals and legal battles, Pawn Stars continued to air for more than a decade. However, by its 21st season, the show had lost much of its original charm. The focus on family drama, legal issues, and scripted content left many viewers disillusioned. The show's once glowing reputation had been severely tarnished, and its future remained uncertain. While Rick Harrison managed to maintain his pawn shop's success through other ventures, such as real estate, Pawn Stars could never recapture its initial magic. Its legacy, though still iconic, was forever marred by the scandals, legal battles, and the gradual shift from authenticity to contrived entertainment. In the end, Pawn Stars will always be remembered as one of the most influential reality TV shows in history, but its story serves as a cautionary tale of how fame, personal struggles, and legal issues can ultimately affect the legacy of a television program.